Hi everyone. With Game Week 2 officially over, it's safe to say that it was probably one of my worst ever game weeks in FPL history. Not because of it being a relatively low score. I've scored far lower in FPL over the years, and not even with the captain fail, but just due to a series of calamitous errors, mistakes, and wrong 50-50 calls that didn't go my way. So what I've decided is that I'm going to actually do my transfers right now. I inadvertently have 2 free transfers at hand because my actual transfers couldn't go through on Friday night, and I'm not going to wait for any leaks this Friday night. Couldn't care less anymore. So I I've got a framework for the moves I want to make. I want to look at some informed players who I would hope are relatively free from rotation for the time being and have a generous run of upcoming games. And if it goes horribly wrong, I'll happily wildcard during the international break after game week 4. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it and show you where my team's at right now. So, just going to confirm that right now. Here we go. So, still got Gabriel, and very disappointed to see that he didn't start tonight or on Monday night either. So Gabriel is out. In terms of the replacements, really, there's only one replacement. I know Chilwell blanked against West Ham, but he's got that generous run of green block games now. Luton, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth in the next 3, and he's got that attacking prowess as well. Of course, Chelsea are a different proposition altogether without James in the team as well, but I think Chilwell is a no-nonsense pick. I've missed out on 2 double price rises already. I don't want to miss out on another one, so in he comes. I initially was thinking that I could actually get like Baldock out and then get Chilwell in through that route because I've got the buffer to do so, but I just want to get rid of Gabriel. I know that the irony is that with Tomiyasu being injured now, there might even be a slim chance of him starting against Fulham, but once bitten, twice shy, and once you get bitten twice, it's just it's not a nice feeling. So yeah, officially right now, Gabriel's gone, and just look at the transfers out as well. I think it's almost certain that Gabriel's going to get somewhat of a price for very shortly. He's already at 5.0 now. I'm surprised he's not fallen up to this point. So perfect sense there. In comes Chilwell and out goes Gabriel. So that's the first move right there. And coming onto the midfield, of course, I have absorbed a double price fall for Kevin De Bruyne due to the transfer not going through on Friday night. So out he goes. And before I continue, if you're able to like, share, or subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. And alternatively, if you want to buy me a coffee, the link is in the description below. So out goes Kevin De Bruyne. And in terms of the options available in that midfield spot, of course, there aren't really any other 10.5 midfielders, but we've got a plethora of 8.5s and 8s that are available to us. So in terms of who I've looked at, Mbeumo, obviously, big standout, has shown some sensational form. March obviously came to the fore in game week 2 as well, but his fixtures take a turn for the worse after game week 3, which is a problem. And I've got Mitoma, so perhaps I wouldn't want to double up on Brighton's midfield. Diaz, absolutely sensational for Liverpool, a player that I did consider, but then just decided not to in the end. Wanted to get Salah in, and that wasn't to be. Foden also is a player there as well, and there's someone who's not on this transferred in list who I did consider. He looked quite nippy as well in his Sunday fixture, and that's Raheem Sterling. But in terms of Mbeumo, 16.4%, scandalously low owned among the wider FPL public. And you look at the green block games he's got, 4 out of the next 5, Palace, Bournemouth, home back to back. Then you got Everton at home after the Newcastle trip, and then Forest. you have to back Mbeumo. So that's a no-nonsense pick for me. And yeah, I could go to Diaz, but then you look at Diaz's like fixtures as well. Of course, you got Newcastle United. I think Villa will be a bit tricky. Then they open up for Liverpool from game week 5 onwards. But I was thinking, you know what? I'll probably get like Mohamed Salah or some other Liverpool attacker on a game week 4 wild card. I'm not gonna chop and change the team now to accommodate Mohamed Salah. I've got this Fernandes Rashford complex in my team as well. I could very easily boot them out, but then I've got other fires to burn, as you can see, and I'm willing to give them the chance against Nottingham Forest. But then if it gets problematic in game week 3 and game week 4, I can boot them out on the wild card as well. But I'm willing to give them that chance. I've seen a lot of people have begun selling both in large numbers already ahead of game week 3, which I think is a bit nuts. But I'm reluctantly willing to keep them in just for the time being. And then on to the forwards now. João Pedro, I knew he was going to be a rotation risk. I knew his X-mins were a problem, but then the cameo appearance of the yellow card kind of sealed it for me. And I thought to myself, well, I've got Mitoma, got a Stupina. I think that's sufficient Brighton cover right now. Got the West Ham fixture, then you've got the red block fixtures that I mentioned for Brighton as well coming up. So I think João Pedro has been a disappointment in game week 2. I kind of felt that perhaps the the reference point had been set in game week 1, where he'd come on, nip in with a goal, and then get subbed off. But then, yeah, I have no idea why he was bench moved. There's some tactical reason behind it. So on to the forwards now. I've got 8.5 million in the bank, and of course this is a -4. Part of me is thinking, you know, I could just save it at that and not actually get rid of João Pedro, but I really want to get a replacement. Just thinking, like if I restore him, I've just got 3 million swishing in the bank, and then you look at the forwards that are available. Wissar, I think 6.1 million. Had him in my first draft. I felt that without Ivan Toney, he'll definitely get some goals, as we saw towards the end of last season. But in the end, I kind of like went towards not having a striker other than Haaland to going to João Pedro. And with João Pedro, I didn't really even fancy him as a pick. I just felt that, of course, Brighton had those good fixtures, and I don't even know why I picked him, to be honest with you. I wanted the 3-5-2 formation, and at that time, at the 5.5 million price bracket, I think João Pedro was the only one who was an option at 5.5 million. And even now, you look at the options. Nketiah, of course, he didn't start the Community Shield, but now he's got those 2 starts, which he would have been my go-to 5.5 million pick had I had an inkling that he'd start. And there he is, 13 points up. But I wouldn't buy Nketiah as well, just an X-Mins issue. Jackson is another player I've looked at as well. He fits my boxes in terms of guaranteed starts, green block fixtures. But the biggest worry for me is he hasn't delivered an actual form. I know his XG has been relatively kind. The XGI, look at that, 0.83, 0.54. But I want someone who's actually been scoring goals. And I'm willing to take the risk, because it's not as if I'm going to save my wild card for a rainy day. So I'm just going to go like I don't, is it gut instinct? I don't really know, but I'm just going to go for Alvarez. I feel that like with Wissar, okay, I've got that covered with Mbeumo. Isak, probably not right now. Jackson, it's really between Jackson and Alvarez, really. And the other options, to be fair, Watkins, very high ownership, has got 2 attacking returns in his opening games, where he's off penalties now. And he's got some pretty reasonable fixtures as well. I think I'm not feeling Watkins right now. So I want to go for a Man City player. And Foden would have been one pathway, but then I wanted Mbeumo. I feel that in terms of value and the talisman player, Mbeumo is that. It's not to say Foden isn't someone who isn't a talisman for his team, but if he if he had a manager, anyone other than Pep, he'd be the talisman for Man City alongside Haaland. But I can't take that risk in midfield. I feel that with midfield, for me, this is like a protected area when it comes to FPL. I want essentially the players who are going to offer me the most value and are the players who are going to be regular starters as well. So with Alvarez, one thing that really surprised me actually was that he's played 2 full games for Man City. And of course, they've had a lot of departures this summer as well. And okay, I'm mindful his XG was very low against Newcastle, 0.11, Burnley, 0.39. So is he exceeding his XG? He probably is. 0.5 XG, and he scored 2 goals. But then in that Man City team, goals will flow from almost anywhere. I just want to revisit Jackson one more time, actually. And expected goals for Jackson, 1.3. He scored 0 goals. So thinking maybe I could do an upswing transfer and do that. But the striking position was probably the most difficult one for me to pick, if I'm perfectly frank. But right now I'm thinking Alvarez, can I justify it? I look at the funds that are available. I can pretty much buy any of these players on the right-hand side. Not going to buy Gakpo. Not going to buy Solanke. Watkins popping up again. I really don't even care about EO right now. It's just about X vibes and just having like some sort of variation because my rank's plummeted. I've not even bothered looking at my live rank now after the Arsenal difference from Saliba's points against Gabriel's, and of course Odegaard scoring that penalty as well. So the fact he's taking penalties is quite interesting as well. And he would have been an option for me in fairness in this midfield, but then I've had this bad fortune of the Bruno Rashford double up not working, so I didn't want to risk it for a biscuit for Odegaard and Saka, who I've already got. So just thinking, before I confirm this transfer, is it really worth me even going Alvarez? I'm just thinking I might as well just go for broke and go for Jackson. But then Alvarez at 6.5 offers exceptional value as well. So thinking, should I change my mind actually? So let's go back here. Yeah, I'm not one to really worry too much about XG, but then it's interesting that Alvarez is exceeding his XG massively. Then you look at Haaland, his XG is expected to get 1 goal, and he's got 2 goals. So he's exceeding his XG as well. And then Mbeumo and Mitoma, might as well just check them as well. So Mbeumo's matching his XG, which is quite interesting. And then Mitoma, of course, he just got the 1 goal and 2 assists. He's exceeding his XG in terms of goal involvements, almost 1, and he's got 3. So it doesn't really matter, does it? But I'm thinking I want to get Jackson in, but then I want to get Alvarez in. That's really the final piece of the jigsaw. But it feels like he's a cheat code, a 6.5 million striker for Manchester City, the treble-winning champions. It just seems nuts not to have him in. And there are people talking about, if Balogun becomes a starter for a Premier League club, the game's ruined, it's gone to pot, he's a cheat code. Well, Alvarez is offering exceptional value. And Pep seems to like him. And it seems like, Alvarez he's just like pretty much won everything at his age. So young, which is quite amazing as well. So with Chelsea, you kind of feel there's like this unknown quantity. I do want to attack that Luton fixture though, I won't lie to you. And at one point on Saturday, before Chelsea played West Ham, I had Sterling, Chilwell, and Jackson in my thoughts as I could just triple up on Chelsea, go hard on them. But there's like Mbeumo, can't ignore him. And then you need like some sort of attacking City cover as well. So, of course, when Champions League football kicks in, rotation's going to be an absolute mess for City, but I would have wildcarded by then, so that's not an issue for me. So, I think I will go and confirm Alvarez. And I guess I want to validate this with the expected points as well. So, I've already put the data into DraftHound, and this is what the expected points are saying for me for game week 3. So Edison in goal, Stupinan, Chilwell, Shaw, Mbeumo, Saka, Rashford, Fernandes, Mitoma, Haaland and Alvarez up top, and the projected points are 72, which is well over what I scored in game week 2. And it's really this risk of Alvarez that rotation will always be a risk. Whereas with Jackson, rotation really isn't a risk. And that's the only question mark that I have. But I'm thinking that the season's gone so badly wrong for me that I'm just willing to take the chance. And if you want to just try out your own expected stats, predicted points for game week 3, the link is in the description below from DraftHound, and just check out what scores you come up with as well. And I see on this live stream, I've got a lot of questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer all of those questions as well. So feel free to pop them in the chat. I wasn't planning on answering any questions, but I'm more than happy to. But like I've said, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that will be greatly appreciated. This is just like an ad hoc stream where I'm sharing my team for game week 3. So in fact, before I do that, I just want to lock it in. So just to show you that this isn't like fantasy, this is reality. I've got 2 million in the bank if I confirm this team. And just thinking one more time on Jackson, Luton, Nottingham Forest, and Bournemouth. Hold on. Getting swayed with Jackson, but he needs to do something. 16.6%. What's Alvarez's ownership overall? 7%. Oh, that's, yeah. I mean, technically, if I wanted to, I could get a third forward in my team. I could actually upgrade Mubama at some point and get Jackson in. But I'm thinking, yeah, I can't do it right now, and I need to get rid of De Bruyne. It's such a shame. If I didn't have this De Bruyne conundrum, I probably would have like even gone 3-4-3 perhaps as well. So yeah, let's go back to my team. Just have a look at the questions to see if there's any sage words of advice in my FPL team. So what are the most urgent moves for game week 3? So in my case, it is shipping out De Bruyne. I feel that if you've got Gabriel, and if you've got a very strong bench, you want to give Gabriel a chance, then feel free to. But twice, you've got the gap between Saliba and Gabriel is ridiculous now in terms of points. It's like a double-digit points difference if you acted upon the leaks ahead of game week 1 and chose Saliba. So I would get rid of Gabriel. It's just not worth it. He's linked with a move to Saudi. I wasn't even aware of that. And yeah, tactically, he's not being started by Arteta as well. So don't make a move for the sake of it. But if you're looking to, well, firstly, if you're looking to answer that question in terms of urgent moves, everyone's in a different situation. If you're protecting rank, you want to play it safe, then just go for the players that you haven't got cover for. But if you want that upside, like chase as well, and don't really care about effective ownership or other stuff, then by all means, just go for the differentials. Pedro is such a disappointment. I couldn't agree more. I think he's been, well, I say it's too early to say in terms of calling him a massive disappointment, but we let's be honest, we kind of knew that X-Min was going to be an issue with him in that Brighton team. And we all pretty much chose Mitoma because we would have argued that he is safe when it comes to X-Mins. So it is what it is. Next question. Chelsea's Gusto for Baldock. Well, if you've got no other fires to burn, why not go for it? He seems like a very interesting pick, and without James in the team, he seems like the go-to player in that position. So yeah, why not? If I had a wild card, I'd definitely get him in, and if I don't have any fires to burn. Considering Alvarez as well, good fixtures going forward. Exactly. So in these transfers, I'm looking to get players who've shown some form, relatively safe in their teams. I think Alvarez is the only question mark really, but he's had 2 90-minute games, so that's probably a good indication. And yeah, green block games as well. When do you reckon I should try get Mbeumo in? Well, if you've got no fires to burn, get him in now. He's showing the form of his life at the moment. I've got Alvarez. It's inevitable he's a starter now. I hope so too. Does Gabriel start now? So the if is that he might potentially start against Fulham, but then that's subject to Zinchenko being fully fit. I mean, I'm pretty certain Zinchenko will like somehow feature in the team if Tomiyasu is now suspended. So I just wouldn't even take the risk on Gabriel. And then let's say you've got like a 4.0, 4.5 starter and Gabriel blocks you off. It's just not worth it. So sell him. I think he's a fire in anyone's team at the moment. I think Watkins is a very difficult sell at the moment. Yeah, I agree. If you've got Watkins, do not sell him because he is getting the fantasy returns, even if he isn't on penalties. So yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't. He's one of those players. Don't sell him and don't buy him really. I have Mbeumo and want to sell Havertz. Any advice? I'd say that like if you haven't got Phil Foden, definitely consider him. If you haven't got Mitoma, consider him. I'm assuming you've got Mitoma as well. So yeah, I think Phil Foden really as the replacement, definitely worth a punt. Any news on Maddison's injury? So it seems like he was like badly injured. I don't know how long he's out for, but just by the looks of some of the images I've seen, doesn't look like he's going to start game week 3. So I think he's a fire burning in someone's team at the moment as well. The fact that he was wearing that protective leg and foot gear. So just keep that in mind. Right. So I think that's just going to the team now. Just looking at it, I think I've got a healthy amount of cover. I really want another Chelsea player. I'm just thinking that like they are due. Nicholas Jackson is due. Look at those 3 next games. Kind of thinking it's a really hard one between him and Alvarez, and I know that I've just got so many 50-50 calls wrong that I'll pick Alvarez. He'll probably get benched, and then Jackson will score a hat trick against Luton. Then you look at Alvarez's fixtures: Sheffield United, Fulham, West Ham. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm having second thoughts now on that striking position. I'm just checking. I'm not going to get Wissar. I'm not going to get Isak. It's really between Jackson and Alvarez. I'm going to stick with Alvarez. Done deal. So I'm just gonna confirm this now. I'm not on the deadline. I'm confirming this. Just realized my laptop battery is about to go, so I hope I confirm this before it goes. But I will do that. And just looking at some of the feedback here, looking really bad going for Chelsea. Really looking bad going forward. Really, I mean the fact you look at Jackson's XG, look at how nippy Sterling was. I think there are goals in that team. And then against Luton, I think they'll just score a hatful. It is inevitable. So, yeah, here we go. So, Gabriel Chilwell, hopefully some net gains there. De Bruyne and Mbeumo, hopefully cover net gains. Pedro Alvarez for a -4. But again, I don't see this as a -4. I see this as a like mini wildcard, splitting the transfer across through, is it 1.333 or something? So I think it's worth it. an accidental one, but I hate it. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I've got my real wild card, which I'll play hopefully in the not too distant future. But yeah, let's do it. Let's confirm this. This is confirmed now. That is my team for game week 3. So I will do my famous super zoom in, and here we go. So for game week 3, got Edison in goal against Sheffield United, a back line of Estupinan, Chilwell, and Shaw, power midfield 5 from Buemo, Saka, Fernandes, Rashford, and Mitoma, and up top I've got Alvarez and Haaland, with Mr. Inevitable being the captain, and a bench of Turner, Baldock, Kabore, Mubama. Let me know in the comments below what you think of that team. As always, if you're able to like, share, and subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. Or if you just want to buy me a coffee, the link is in the description below. So there you have it. I've done my transfers on a Monday night, and I'm not going to worry about those silly leaks for the time being. Take care and all the best, everyone. Thank you. Bye.